The wire cuts into his wrists. Benson doesn't scream. Not yet. The rope around the giant Iroko tree is older than his lies, thicker than his pride. His silk shirt is torn. His Rolex is gone. And the entire village of Abriba stands in a circle, watching him bleed dignity into the red dirt. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Let's rewind. Let's go back to when Benson was still a god. If you want to see how greed destroys empires, hit that subscribe button right now. You're about to witness the fall of a man who thought he was untouchable. 3 weeks earlier, Benson steps off a private jet at Murtala Muhammad Airport in Lagos. His shoes cost more than most people earn in a year. Italian leather, custom stitched. He walks like a man who owns the ground beneath him. Because in many ways, he does. His net worth sits somewhere north of $800 million. Real estate, tech investments, mining contracts across 3 continents. The kind of wealth that makes politicians return his calls within minutes. His wife Adana follows 2 steps behind. Designer everything. Their 3 children trail after her, scrolling through phones that cost more than Nigerian teachers make in 6 months. The family doesn't wait in lines. They don't go through regular customs. A government official escorts them through a private corridor, bowing slightly, calling Benson, "Sir," like it's a religious title. This is what power looks like. This is what America gave him. But America didn't make Benson rich. Abriba did. The village that still drinks from the same contaminated stream their ancestors used 50 years ago. The village that contributed everything they had because Benson promised them everything they needed. The convoy of black SUVs tears through Lagos traffic. Horns blare. People scatter. Money doesn't wait. 2 hours later, they're on rural roads, potholes the size of graves, children running barefoot, women carrying water on their heads. Benson stares out the tinted window and feels nothing. Adana applies lipstick in a compact mirror. Their eldest son, Chike, laughs at something on his screen. None of them see the poverty. Or maybe they see it and just don't care anymore. The SUVs arrive at Abriba just before sunset. The entire village is waiting. Hundreds of people line the dirt road. They clap, they ululate, they bow. Some kneel in the dust as the convoy passes. Children wave, old women cry. Not from joy, from something else. Something closer to desperation wrapped in ritual. The village head, Mazi Okorafor, stands at the entrance to the village square. He's 83 years old. His wrapper is clean but faded. His staff is carved from the same Iroko tree where Benson will soon hang. He bows deep. Ndewo, Eze Benson, welcome home. Benson doesn't bow back. He nods, like a king acknowledging a servant. Mazi, you're looking well. It's a lie. Mazi Okorafor looks like he's been dying slowly for a decade. His eyes are yellow. His hands shake. But he smiles anyway, because that's what you do when gods visit. They sit under the big tree. The entire village council gathers. Young men stand at the edges, watching. Women bring kola nut, palm wine, roasted goat. Benson eats like he's doing them a favor. Adana doesn't eat at all. She's worried about calories, about the gala back in Houston next month, about anything except the hungry eyes watching her gold necklace catch the fading light. Mazi Okorafor clears his throat. Eze Benson, we thank the gods for bringing you home safely. Benson waves a hand. The gods had nothing to do with it. Boeing 737 and good pilots. That's what brought me home. Some of the elders laugh nervously. Others don't. There's a tension in the air. Something unspoken. Something waiting. We have called you home for something important. Mozzie continues. His voice is steady, but his hands still shake. Something that will honor your name forever. Benson leans back, interested now. Go on. We want to give you the title of Ese Ego, King of Wealth. It is the highest honor Abriba can bestow. You will be crowned during the Christmas festival. Your name will live forever in our history. Benson smiles. A real smile this time. Not the plastic one he uses in business meetings. This is vanity, pure and simple. He's already rich, already powerful. But a title? A crown? A place in history? That's immortality. I accept, he says. The village erupts in celebration. Drums begin. Women dance. Children scream with excitement. But in the back, near the shadows, a group of young men don't celebrate. They watch. They wait. Their faces are carved from stone. That night, Benson and his family stay in the only decent building in Abriba, a small guest house built with contributions from villagers who thought it would become a hotel. It never did. Benson owns it now, uses it twice a year. The rest of the time it sits empty while family sleep 6 to a room in mud houses down the road. Adana sprays the bed with imported disinfectant. Chike complains about the Wi-Fi. Their daughter, Amarachi, cries because there's no hot water. Their youngest, Ibuka, just stares out the window at the darkness. At the fires burning in distant compounds. At the life his father escaped and never looked back at. Benson pours himself whiskey. Expensive. Smooth. He stands on the small balcony and looks out at his kingdom. Abriba, broken, poor, desperate, and still worshipping him. He thinks about the title, Eze Ego. He likes the sound of it, likes the weight of it. He doesn't think about the road he promised 7 years ago, the one that was supposed to connect Abriba to the main highway, the one that would have saved 3 children who died last rainy season, when the ambulance couldn't get through the mud. He doesn't think about the borehole he promised 9 years ago, the one that would have given clean water, the one that would have stopped the cholera outbreak that killed 16 people. He doesn't think about the school, the clinic, the electricity, the future he sold them in exchange for their hope and their money. He just drinks his whiskey and feels like a king already. The next morning, Mozzie Okorafor visits early. He brings 3 other elders. They look serious, respectful. But something is different. Eze Benson, we have something to show you, Mozzie says. Something that will interest you greatly. Benson is eating breakfast, pancakes, bacon, coffee. Things Adana brought from America because she doesn't trust local food. Can it wait? I'm eating. It cannot wait, Mozzie says. His voice is firmer now. It concerns your wealth and the future of Abriba. Benson stops chewing. Wealth always gets his attention. Always. He wipes his mouth with a napkin and stands. Show me. They walk through the village, past compounds where families are waking up, past children getting ready for school in buildings with no roofs, past women starting their morning trek to the stream, past men heading to farms that barely feed their families. Nobody greets them. That's unusual. In Abriba, you always greet elders. Always. But today, people just watch, silent, their eyes following Benson like he's something between a king and a criminal. They arrive at the edge of the village, a piece of land Benson remembers from childhood. Rocky, useless, the kind of place where nothing grows. Mozzie stops and plants his staff in the ground. This land, he begins, has been tested by government surveyors. Benson's heart beats faster. Surveyors, government. Those words mean opportunity, mean money. They found something. Mozzie continues. Rare earth minerals, lithium, coltan, the kind that American companies paid billions for, the kind that builds electric cars and phones and computers. Benson's mind is already calculating. Billions on worthless land in a forgotten village. This is the kind of opportunity that turns millionaires into legends. The government wants to negotiate, Mozzie says. They want to buy the land, develop it properly, share the profits with the village. How much? Benson asks. His voice is tight, controlled. They're talking about an initial payment of $50 million, then royalties, percentages, jobs for the village, real development. 50 million. Benson's hands are sweating. That's just the initial payment. The real money comes later, in contracts, in exclusive rights, in the kind of deals that happen in hotel rooms and private jets. Who owns the land? Benson asks. He already knows the answer. He just needs to hear it. The village, Mozzie says. It's communal land. But we need someone to negotiate. Someone who understands American business. Someone who can get us the best deal. Mozzie looks at Benson. Someone like you, Ezzy. Benson nods slowly. His mind is racing. Communal land means complicated. Means he'll need to navigate traditional ownership. Means he'll need to be smart. I'll help, he says. Of course I'll help. You're my people. I'll make sure Abriba gets everything it deserves. The elders thank him. They bow. They praise his generosity. But as they walk back, Benson notices something. The other elders don't speak. They just watch him, like they're studying an insect, like they're waiting for it to walk into a trap. That afternoon, Benson makes calls. Lots of calls. To lawyers in Houston, to contacts in the Nigerian government, to mining consultants who owe him favors. He speaks in English, fast, technical, the language of money. Adana watches from the bed. What are you doing? She asks. Business, Benson says. The kind that changes everything. We have enough, she says quietly. We have enough money, enough houses, enough everything. Why do you need more? He looks at her like she just spoke a foreign language. There's no such thing as enough. That's poor people talk. That's the kind of thinking that keeps people in places like this. He gestures at the window, at Abriba, at the poverty outside. I didn't claw my way out of this place to think small. I didn't survive Alabama in the 80s, build a business from nothing, invest in things nobody believed in, just to be satisfied. Satisfaction is death. Hunger is life. Adana turns away. She's heard this speech before, many times. It never changes. Benson never changes. By evening, Benson has a plan, a good one. He'll offer to handle all negotiations. He'll set up a company, a local Nigerian company that technically represents the village. He'll be the managing director, the signatory, the one who controls everything. The village will get something. Maybe 20%. Maybe less if he structures it right. They'll be happy because 20% of 50 million is more money than Abriba has seen in its entire history. They'll praise him, build statues, tell stories about the great Benson who finally brought development. And he'll walk away with 40 million, minimum, plus future contracts, plus mining rights he can flip to Chinese companies who pay even more. It's perfect. It's legal. Technically. And it's exactly what he's been waiting for his entire life. That night, there's another meeting. The village square is full. Hundreds of people, torches burning. The mood is festive. Drums playing, children dancing. Benson sits in the place of honor, beside Mazi Okoroafor, beside the other elders, beside the throne he'll sit on when they crown him Eze Ego. Brothers and sisters of Abriba, Mazi begins. His voice carries across the square. We stand at the edge of a new dawn. Our land holds treasures. Our future holds promise. And our son Benson has agreed to lead us into prosperity. The crowd cheers. Women ululate. Men raise their fists. Benson stands and waves, playing the part. I came from here, he says. His voice is strong, confident. I know what it means to be hungry, to struggle, to watch your parents work themselves to death for nothing. I escaped that, but I never forgot where I came from. I never forgot my people. It's a lie. He forgot them the moment his plane left Nigerian airspace 30 years ago. But they don't know that. Or maybe they do, and just need to believe otherwise. I promise you, Benson continues, this time will be different. This time, Abriba will rise. Your children will go to real schools. Your sick will go to real hospitals. Your roads will be paved. Your homes will have power. This time, I will not fail you. The crowd roars. Some people are crying. Old women, young men. People who have waited so long for hope that they'll drink poison if you call it water. Benson sits down, satisfied, powerful, untouchable. But in the back of the crowd, those same young men from before stand silent. Their leader is a man named Obi, 32 years old, educated, worked in Lagos before coming home to take care of his dying mother. He's seen men like Benson before, lots of them. Men who mistake poverty for stupidity. Men who think desperate people can't see through expensive suits. Obi catches the eye of his friend Chidi. They don't need to speak. They both know. Tomorrow everything changes. The meeting ends. People drift back to their compounds. Benson returns to the guest house. He pours more whiskey, calls his lawyer in Houston. I need you to draft incorporation papers, a Nigerian LLC. I'll send you details tomorrow, and I need it done fast, before anyone asks questions. What kind of deal are we talking about? The lawyer asks. The kind where I need absolute control. The kind where my signature is the only one that matters. The kind where I can move money without anyone noticing until it's too late. The lawyer laughs. You're stealing from your own village? I'm not stealing, Benson says coldly. I'm taking what I've earned. I've sent money back for years. I've helped people. I've done more than anyone else who left. This is compensation. This is payback for all the times they called begging, all the funerals, all the contributions, all the bullshit obligations that come with being the one who made it out. Whatever helps you sleep, the lawyer says. I'll have the papers ready in 48 hours. Benson sleeps well that night. He dreams of numbers, of accounts, of the house he'll buy in Monaco, of the way people will say his name in business circles. Not just rich Benson, not just successful Benson, but Benson who pulled off the Abriba deal. Benson who turned a forgotten village into a mining empire. Benson who proved that if you're smart enough and ruthless enough, you can take everything and still be worshipped for it. But 2 compounds away, Obi isn't sleeping. He's sitting with 15 other young men. They're drinking locally brewed gin. the kind that burns, the kind that makes you brave or stupid, depending on how much you drink. He thinks we're fools, Obi says. He thinks because we're poor, we're blind. What can we do? Chidi asks. He has money, lawyers, connections. If we accuse him, who will believe us? The elders bow to him. The government knows him. We're nobody. Obi smiles. It's not a happy smile. That's exactly why we can do what needs to be done. Nobody expects anything from nobody. The next morning, Benson wakes to the smell of jollof rice. Adana is already dressed. Their children are still sleeping. Outside, the village is alive with activity. People moving with purpose, preparing for something. What's happening? Benson asks. They're preparing for the Christmas festival, Adana says. It's only 3 days away. They say it's going to be the biggest celebration in Abriba's history. Because of your title, because of the good news about the land. Benson nods. He needs to move fast. The festival is the perfect cover. While everyone celebrates, he'll finalize the papers, lock in his control. By the time anyone realizes what happened, the money will be gone. Transferred, invested, untouchable. He dresses in traditional attire today. White linen, gold embroidery, playing the part of a son who came home, a man who honors his roots. It's all performance, all calculation. He meets with Mazi Okorofor and the Council of Elders in a private compound. They sit in a circle. Palm wine is poured. Prayers are said. Then business begins. The government surveyors will return next week, Mazi says. They want to begin negotiations immediately. They want to start drilling test samples by February. Too fast, Benson says. If we rush, we lose leverage. We need to slow this down, control the pace, make them compete. Compete with who? One of the elders asks. Benson leans forward. I have contacts. Chinese companies. European mining firms. If the Nigerian government thinks they're the only option, they'll lowball us. But if they know we're talking to others, they'll pay what this land is really worth. The elders murmur among themselves. It makes sense. It sounds smart. But we need structure, Benson continues. We need a legal entity, a company that represents Abriba's interests, something that can sign contracts, hold money, negotiate with governments. You want to create a company? Mazi asks. Exactly. I'll handle all the legal work. Register it properly. Make it legitimate. The village will own shares. You'll be directors. But someone needs to manage it day to day. Someone who understands international business. He doesn't say the rest. Doesn't say that managing means controlling. That shares can be diluted. That directors without legal knowledge can be outmaneuvered. He doesn't need to say it. They'll figure it out eventually. When it's too late. How long will this take? Mazi asks. I already have lawyers working on it. The papers will be ready by tomorrow. We can sign during the festival. Make it official. Then we negotiate from a position of strength. The elders agree. They thank Benson. They praise his wisdom, his education, his business mind, everything their sons and daughters don't have because the schools Benson promised never got built. After the meeting, Benson walks through Abriba. Really walks. For the first time in years, he pays attention. He sees the buildings falling apart, the children with swollen bellies, the women aged beyond their years, the men with empty eyes. He sees what his broken promises built, a monument to hope deferred, and he feels nothing. Or maybe he feels something, but buries it so deep that it might as well be nothing. His phone rings. His lawyer. Papers are ready. I'm sending them encrypted. Review and let me know if you need changes. What's my ownership percentage? Benson asks. 65%. The village holds 35%, split among 12 directors. You're listed as managing director with sole signatory authority. Nobody can access funds without your approval. Perfect. Benson, the lawyer says carefully, I need to ask, are you sure about this? These are your people, your village. If this goes wrong, it won't go wrong, Benson interrupts. I've spent 30 years learning how to take what's mine. This is no different. He hangs up, stands in the middle of the dirt road. Children run past him, laughing, playing, innocent. They don't know that their future is being sold before their eyes. That the man they call uncle is the same man who will make sure they stay exactly where they are. Poor, desperate, dependent. That evening, Obi and his group meet again. This time, there are more of them. 25 young men. Some women too. People who've had enough. People who've watched Benson come and go for years, with nothing but empty promises and dollar bills that insult more than help. I spoke to my cousin in Lagos, Obi says. He works in the Ministry of Mines. I asked him about rare earth minerals in Abriba. Everyone leans in. He laughed, Obi continues. He said no surveys have been done here, no government interest, no mining companies, nothing. The room erupts, voices overlapping, anger rising. So it's a lie? Chidi asks. The whole thing is a lie? Not a lie, Obi says slowly. A trap. The elders aren't stupid. They know there are no minerals. They created this story. They used it as bait, and Benson swallowed it whole. Why, someone asks, why would the elders do this? Because they're tired, Obi says. Tired of watching him take and take and take. Tired of promises. Tired of watching their people die while Benson builds mansions in America. They want justice, and they're using his greed to get it. But what's the plan? Chidi presses. What happens when he realizes there are no minerals? Obi smiles. That dangerous smile again. By then, it will be too late. By then, he'll have already shown his true face. Already tried to steal from people who have nothing. And when that happens, when the whole village sees what he really is, the elders will demand payment. Real payment. Everything he's stolen over the years. Every contribution he collected and never spent on Abriba. Every promise he broke. They'll get it all back. And if he refuses? He won't be able to refuse, Obi says quietly. Because he won't be in America. He'll be here, in Abriba, surrounded by people he's stolen from. And this time, there will be no plane to run to. The room goes silent. They understand now. This isn't about minerals. It never was. This is about accountability. About making a man who thought he was untouchable face the people he destroyed. When does it happen? Chidi asks. Christmas Eve, Obi says. After the ceremony. After they crown him. After he signs whatever papers he thinks will make him richer. That's when everything comes down. The next day, Christmas Eve, arrives with humidity that makes breathing feel like work. The entire village is decorated. Palm fronds, colored paper, banners with Benson's face. The celebration is bigger than any wedding, bigger than any funeral. This is Coronation Day, the day Abriba crowns its king of wealth. Benson dresses in full ceremonial attire. Red velvet, gold trim, a cap adorned with eagle feathers. He looks at himself in the mirror and sees everything he always wanted to be. Royalty. Adana adjusts his collar. "You look like a real king," she says. There's something in her voice. Sadness, maybe. Or resignation. "I am a king," Benson replies. "I've always been a king. Today, they're just making it official." They walk to the village square. Thousands of people are gathered. More than Benson expected. People from neighboring villages. Relatives from far away. Everyone wants to witness this moment, the crowning of Eze-Ego. The throne sits in the center, carved from Iroko wood, ancient, powerful. Beside it, a table with documents, the incorporation papers. Everything Benson needs to lock in his control. Mazi Okorafor stands beside the throne. The other elders form a semicircle. They're all wearing their finest wrappers, their most solemn faces. "Today," Mazi begins, his voice carrying across the silent crowd, "we honor a son of Abrima. A man who left this village with nothing and built an empire. A man who promised to bring that empire home. A man who stands ready to lead us into prosperity." The crowd cheers. Drums begin. Dancers move to the rhythm. Benson walks forward. Each step measured. Each movement calculated. This is theater. And he's always been good at performance. "Before we crown him," Mazi continues, "we must complete the business of the land. We must sign the papers that will make our future secure." The documents are brought forward. Benson's lawyer sent them overnight. Rushed printing. Rushed binding. But they look official. They look real. "Eze Benson," Mazi says formally, "as managing director of the Abriba Development Corporation, you will sign first. Then we elders will sign as directors. Then the village will witness that our future is in your hands." Benson takes the pen. Gold-plated. Expensive. He signs with flourish. His signature loops and curves like the signatures of men in history books. The elders sign next, one by one, their hands steady, their faces unreadable. When the last signature is placed, Mazi rolls up the documents, hands them to Benson. "These papers give you control of our future," Mazi says loudly. "Everything we have, everything we hope to gain, it is all in your hands now." Benson nods, accepts the papers, feels the weight of them, the weight of power, the weight of money that will soon be his. "Now," Mazi says, "before we crown you, tradition demands one more thing, a test of character, a trial that every king must pass." Benson frowns. Nobody mentioned a trial. This wasn't part of the plan. "What kind of trial?" he asks carefully. Mazi gestures to the edge of the square. 4 men emerge carrying something. A wooden chest, old, locked. They place it at Benson's feet. "In this chest," Mazi says, his voice dropping to something ancient and ceremonial, "are the contributions of Abriba. Every naira, every kobo, every dollar sent by our people over the last 15 years. Money given in faith, money given in hope, money given because a son promised to build roads, schools, hospitals, a future." Benson's blood runs cold. The square is completely silent now. Even the drums have stopped. "We counted it last night," Mazi continues. "The elders, the youth, the women. We went through every record, every receipt, Every bank statement from the village account that you controlled. The account that was supposed to fund development. Mozzie opens the chest. It's empty. Completely empty. Where is the money, Ezzy Benson? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Benson's mind races. This wasn't supposed to happen. This was supposed to be a coronation. A signing. A quick exit back to America with papers that made him millions. I spent it, Benson says. His voice is steady, but his hands are shaking. I spent it on projects, on planning, on consultants, on legal fees. Development is expensive. It takes time. Show us, Mozzie says simply. Show us the projects. Show us the receipts. Show us where 17 million naira went. Show us where $43,000 went. Show us the consultants, the plans, the lawyers. Show us anything except empty promises. Benson looks at the crowd. Every face is turned toward him. No one is smiling now. No one is celebrating. They're waiting, judging. I don't have to explain myself to you, Benson says. His voice is harder now. Defensive. I've done more for this village than anyone. I've sent money. I've helped families. I've given opportunities. You've given dollar bills, a voice calls from the crowd. It's Obi. He steps forward. $1 each. Like we're beggars at a traffic light. Like our dignity is worth 25 cents. Who are you to speak? Benson snaps. What have you done? What empire have you built? You're nobody. A small boy who doesn't understand how the world works. I understand enough, Obi says. He's not shouting. His voice is calm, measured, more dangerous than anger. I understand that you collected money for a road that was never built. I understand that 3 children died last year because an ambulance couldn't reach them. I understand that you collected money for a borehole and we still drink from contaminated streams. I understand that you promised a school and our children still study under trees. The crowd murmurs, agreement, recognition, truth spoken aloud. I understand, Obi continues, stepping closer, that you created a fake mining story, that you were ready to sign papers, giving yourself control of money that doesn't exist, that you were going to steal from us again. But this time, we would have given you permission, given you legal authority. And you would have disappeared back to America laughing at how stupid we are. Benson's face twists. That's a lie. The minerals are real. The government surveyors. There are no surveyors, Mozzie interrupts. His voice is tired, sad, like a father disappointed beyond words. There are no minerals. There never were. We created that story to test you, to see if you had changed, to see if maybe, just maybe, the boy who left Abriba 30 years ago still had a conscience, still had a soul. The words hit Benson like physical blows. You lied to me? We lied to a liar, Mozzie says. We set a trap for a thief, and you walked into it with both hands reaching. You were ready to take everything, again, always again. Never enough, never satisfied, always hungry for more while we starve. Benson looks at Adana. She's crying, silent tears running down her face. Their children are huddled together, scared, confused. Chike, the eldest, looks at his father like he's seeing a stranger. This is ridiculous, Benson says. He's trying to regain control, trying to find the authority that always worked before. I'm leaving. I'm taking my family, and we're leaving right now. He turns toward the exit, but the crowd has closed in. Not threatening, not violent, just present. A wall of bodies, a wall of broken promises made flesh. You'll leave, Mozzie says, but not before you pay back what you've stolen. Every naira, every dollar, with interest. You can't force me to pay anything, Benson says, but his voice cracks. You have no authority, no legal standing. This is extortion. Call it what you want, Mozzie replies, but you're not leaving Abriba until accounts are settled, until the road is funded, until the borehole is dug, until the school is built, until you pay for every promise you broke, every hope you sold, every future you destroyed. This is kidnapping, Benson shouts. I'll call the police, the embassy. I'll have all of you arrested. Call them, Obi says. He holds out a phone. Call and explain how you stole millions from your own village, how you collected development funds and sent them to American banks, how you were about to sign fraudulent papers for a mining company that doesn't exist. Please, make that call. Let's see who gets arrested. Benson doesn't take the phone, because he knows. He knows that everything they're saying is true. He knows that if this goes to court, if records are examined, if accounts are audited, he'll lose everything. Not just the money he stole, but everything else. His reputation, his business licenses, his American citizenship potentially. Everything he built on the foundation of lies and broken promises. How much? He asks quietly. The question of a defeated man. 17 million naira for what you stole from the village account, Mozzie says. Another 53 million for the road. 20 million for the borehole. 30 million for the school. And 10 million for the families of the 3 children who died because you promised and never delivered. 130 million naira. About $150,000 at current exchange rates. Parenthesis. The number is devastating. Not because Benson doesn't have it. He does. He has much more. But because paying it means admitting what he is, admitting what he's done, admitting that every bow, every praise, every title was built on theft and lies. And if I pay? Benson asks. Then you're free to leave, Mozzie says. Free to return to America. Free to never come back. We'll remove your name from the village, erase your history, tell our children you were a cautionary tale, a lesson in what happens when wealth kills character, when success murders conscience. And if I don't pay, then you don't leave, Obi says simply. We're not violent people. We won't hurt you, but this village is surrounded by nothing. No police for 50 kilometers. No airport. No embassy. Just bush and rivers, and people who are very, very good at waiting. We can wait days, weeks, months if necessary. Your family will be free to go. But you stay until you pay, or until you rot, whichever comes first. Benson looks around, really looks, at the faces of people he dismissed, people he used, people he thought would worship him forever because he sent them scraps from his table. They're not worshiping now. They're not begging. They're just standing there, solid, immovable, united in a way that money can't break, because they have nothing left to lose, and people with nothing left to lose are the most dangerous people in the world. I need to make calls, Benson says. His voice is barely a whisper. I need to arrange transfers, access accounts. It will take time. You have until tomorrow morning, Mozzie says. Christmas Day. A fitting time for rebirth, for redemption, or for reckoning. In comma, the crowd parts. Not much. Just enough for Benson and his family to walk back to the guest house. People watch them go. Silent. No one throws stones. No one shouts curses. The silence is worse. Much worse. Because silence is judgment without mercy. Silence is condemnation without appeal. Inside the guest house, Adana is hysterical. "What have you done?" she screams. "What have you done to us? To our children?" "Shut up," Benson says. But there's no force in it. He's collapsing. The performance is over. The mask is cracking. "All these years," Adana continues, "all these years you told me we were helping, that we were sending money, that we were making a difference, and it was all lies? All of it?" "I did send money," Benson says weakly. "I helped people. I paid for funerals, for school fees, for medical bills. I did help. You gave them dollars, like they were dogs begging for scraps," Adana says. Her voice is cold now, clear. "You gave them $1 bills and acted like you were generous. You collected millions and sent nothing back. Nothing real. Nothing that mattered. You let children die, Benson. You let children die because you wanted another house, another car, another investment." "They're not my children," Benson shouts. "I don't owe them anything. I made it out. I survived. I built something. Why should I carry everyone else?" The question hangs there, naked, ugly, true. Chaik stares at his father. "Is that what you think?" the boy asks. He's 17, smart, about to start Harvard next fall. "Is that what success means? Stepping on everyone who helped you climb?" "You don't understand," Benson says. "You've never been poor, never been hungry, never had to fight for everything. You don't know what it costs to survive." "I know what it cost," Chaik says quietly. "It cost you your soul. It cost you any claim to being human. It cost you everything except money. And now it's going to cost you that too." Benson slaps his son. Hard. The sound echoes in the small room. Adana gasps. Amarachi screams. Ibuka just stares. Chike doesn't cry. He touches his face, looks at his father. And in that look is something final. Something broken that will never be repaired. "I'm sorry," Benson says immediately, reaching for his son. "I didn't mean, I'm just stressed. Don't touch me," Chike says. He steps back. "Don't ever touch me again." The boy walks out. Into the night. Into Abriba. Into the village his father destroyed. Benson sits on the bed, head in his hands. For the first time in 30 years, he feels something close to fear. Real fear. Not the fear of failure, not the fear of losing money, but the fear of losing everything that actually matters. Everything he never thought mattered until it was gone. He opens his laptop, logs into his accounts, starts making transfers. The numbers are staggering. His net worth is actually closer to 900 million now. Good investments. Smart plays. He's been making money while he sleeps. $150,000 should be nothing. A rounding error. But it's not nothing. It's admission. It's guilt made manifest. It's the price of his soul, itemized and invoiced. He hesitates. His finger hovers over the confirmation button. He could still run, could call his contacts, could get a helicopter, could extract his family and disappear. He has the resources, the connections. He could make this problem go away with enough money thrown at the right people. But then what? Spend the rest of his life looking over his shoulder? Wondering when the story breaks? Wondering when some journalist decides to investigate? Wondering when his children Google his name and find out exactly what kind of man their father is? The story would spread. In the age of social media, nothing stays hidden. Nothing stays local. A billionaire stealing from his own village. A man who let children die while he bought yachts. It would go viral. His business partners would distance themselves. His boards would remove him. His American dream would become an American nightmare. He presses confirm. The first transfer. 5 million naira to the village account. For the road. He can see the confirmation. The money moving. Disappearing from his account. Going to people who will actually use it for what it's meant for. It feels like bleeding. He makes another transfer. Another. Each one is a piece of his empire crumbling. Each one is an admission of what he took, what he stole, what he destroyed in his pursuit of more. By midnight, it's done. 130 million naira. Gone. Not gone. Returned. Paid back. Justice in the form of zeros and ones moving through digital space. He closes the laptop. Sits in darkness. Outside, he can hear the village. People talking, laughing. There's singing. Christmas carols in Igbo. The celebration he thought would be for him is happening anyway. Without him. Despite him. Adana is asleep. Or pretending to be. Their younger children are curled together in one bed. Holding each other. Frightened by things they don't understand. Things their wealth was supposed to protect them from. Chike hasn't returned. Benson wants to go look for him, but he's afraid. Afraid of what he'll find. Afraid of what his son might say. Afraid of the truth in the eyes of a boy who just learned his hero is a villain. Dawn comes slowly. Like the world is reluctant to begin this day. Benson hasn't slept. He looks terrible. Eyes red. Skin ashen. The weight of his choices sitting on his chest like concrete. There's a knock on the door. He opens it. Mazi Okorafor stands there. Behind him, Obi and several elders. The transfers have been confirmed, Mazi says. The money is in the village account. We have verified it. Benson nods, waiting for what comes next. You're free to leave, Mazi continues. We will not stop you. But before you go, you will come to the square. You will face the people. You will tell them what you did. No lies, no excuses, just truth. You owe them that much. I paid, Benson says. I gave back everything. Why do I need to? Because money isn't enough, Obi interrupts. Money fixes buildings. Truth fixes souls. These people worship you. They told their children about you. They pointed to you as proof that escape was possible, that success was real. You owe them the truth about what success cost, what it turned you into. Benson wants to refuse, wants to grab his family and run. But he can't, because he knows they're right. Because for the first time in decades, something in him that he thought was dead is stirring. Something that might be conscience, might be shame, might be the last shred of the boy from Abriba, who once had dreams that weren't made of money. They walk to the square. The entire village is there. Christmas morning. But this isn't celebration. This is something else. Something heavier. Benson stands in the center, where the throne was yesterday. The throne is gone now. Burned. He saw the smoke last night and wondered what it was. Now he knows. They burned his crown before he ever wore it. Speak, Mazi says. Benson looks at the faces. Hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. People from neighboring villages came to see this, to witness the fall of Eze Ego, the king of wealth brought low by his own greed. I stole from you, Benson begins. His voice cracks. For 15 years, I collected your money. Your contributions, your hope, and I sent it to America. I invested it. I used it to build my wealth. I told myself I would pay you back someday, that I would return and develop Abriba properly, that I was just borrowing. But I was lying, to you, and to myself. The crowd is silent, listening, judging. I watched you struggle, Benson continues. Tears are streaming down his face now. He doesn't wipe them away. I watched you suffer. I knew about the children who died. I knew about the cholera, the hunger, the desperation, and I did nothing. Because I convinced myself that your poverty wasn't my problem. That I didn't owe you anything, because I made it out on my own. He pauses, breathing hard. But I didn't make it out on my own. My parents sold everything to send me to school. My uncles paid for my visa. My cousins sent money when I was sleeping on floors in Alabama. This village built me. And I repaid you by treating you like investments that didn't generate returns. Like liabilities I wanted to write off. I came here yesterday thinking I was a king, Benson says. Thinking you were lucky to have me. Thinking my wealth made me better than you. But I was wrong. I'm not better. I'm worse. Because you have poverty as an excuse for suffering. But I had everything, and still chose to be cruel. Still chose to let people die so I could have a bigger house. A faster car. Another zero in my account. The silence is total now. Even the children are quiet. The money I transferred last night, Benson continues, it's yours. Use it. Build the road. Dig the borehole. Construct the school. And when you do, don't put my name on anything. Don't tell your children I helped. Because I didn't help. I paid a debt. I returned what I stole. That's not generosity. That's barely justice. He looks at Mazi, at Obi, at the faces of people he used. I know you can't forgive me, Benson says. I don't deserve forgiveness, but I want you to know that you were right. About everything. About who I became. About what wealth did to me. About the fact that a man can gain the whole world and lose his soul. I'm proof of that. I'm the cautionary tale. He stops talking. There's nothing left to say. The square remains silent for a long moment. Then someone starts clapping. Slowly. It's an old woman, Mama Nkechi. She lost her granddaughter in the rainy season. One of the 3 children who died because the ambulance couldn't get through. She's clapping. Not with joy, with something else. Acknowledgement, maybe. Recognition that truth was finally spoken. Others join. Not everyone, but some. They're not forgiving him. They're acknowledging his confession, accepting his admission, allowing him to carry his guilt openly instead of hiding it behind expensive suits and fake smiles. You can go now, Mazi says. Your family is waiting at the guest house. We've arranged transport to Lagos. From there, you're on your own. Benson walks through the crowd. They part for him, but differently than before. Not with reverence, with something closer to pity. He reaches the guest house. Adana has packed everything. The children are ready. Chike is there too. His face is still bruised. I heard what you said, the boy says. In the square, I heard everything. I'm sorry, Benson says, for hitting you, for lying to you, for teaching you all the wrong lessons about success. Are you sorry enough to change? Chike asks. It's a simple question. A devastating question. I don't know, Benson admits. I want to say yes. I want to believe I can be different. But I've been this person for so long. I don't know if I remember how to be anyone else. Then learn, Chike says, or lose us too. Because I can't respect a father who values money more than humanity, and I won't become you. I'd rather be poor and human than rich and hollow. The words land like punches, but Benson doesn't deflect them, doesn't argue, just absorbs them, lets them hurt. Because they should hurt. Because pain is sometimes the only thing that wakes you up. They load into the vehicles. 3 SUVs, the same ones that brought them here in triumph, just days ago, now leaving in something very different. The village lines the road, watching them go, not celebrating, not mourning, just witnessing, bearing witness to the fall of a man who thought he was untouchable. As they drive away, Benson looks back, at Abriba, at the village that made him and broke him and forced him to see himself clearly for the first time in 30 years. He wonders if he'll ever come back. He wonders if he wants to. The drive to Lagos takes 6 hours. Nobody speaks. The silence in the vehicle is suffocating, heavier than the humidity, thicker than the red dust coating the windows. Benson stares out at the landscape, the same landscape he drove through 3 days ago and felt nothing. Now, every pothole is an accusation. Every struggling farmer is a mirror. Every child walking barefoot is a witness to his crimes. His phone rings constantly. Business partners, board members, associates. He ignores them all. What would he tell them? That he just paid $150,000 to a village that caught him trying to steal from them? That his coronation became his confession? That the king of wealth just learned he's actually the king of nothing? They stop at a petrol station outside Enugu. Adana gets out to use the bathroom. The children stay in the vehicle. Benson stands by the pump and watches the attendant work. A young man, maybe 23. His uniform is tattered. His shoes are held together with wire. He works with careful attention, making sure every liter is accounted for, making sure the pump doesn't overflow, making sure he doesn't make a mistake that could cost him this job. "How much do you make?" Benson asks suddenly. The attendant looks up, surprised. "Sir? Your salary, how much?" 30,000 naira a month, sir. About $65. $65. Benson spends more than that on coffee, on single bottles of wine, on tips he gives without thinking. "Do you have a family?" Benson asks. "Yes, sir. A wife, 2 children. I'm saving to send my son to school. He's very brilliant, top of his class. But the fees?" The attendant trails off. What's the point of finishing that sentence? Everyone knows how it ends. Talent wasted. Potential buried. Dreams deferred indefinitely. Benson reaches for his wallet. Stops. Thinks. Then reaches again. He pulls out 20,000 naira. About $40. "For your son," Benson says. For school fees. The attendant stares at the money, then at Benson, then at the money again. "Sir, I can't. This is too much. I didn't do anything to deserve." "Take it," Benson says quietly. "Please, just take it." The attendant takes the money with shaking hands. His eyes are wet. "God bless you, sir. God will repay you. You don't know what this means. You don't know." But Benson does know, or he's starting to. He's starting to understand that money has power beyond accumulation. That wealth means nothing if it only flows one direction. That the point of having isn't just having. It's what having allows you to do for people who have nothing. It's a small realization, a tiny shift, but shifts have to start somewhere. They continue to Lagos, arrive after dark. The city is alive with Christmas celebrations. Lights, music, churches overflowing, families together. Joy that money can't buy, but poverty can definitely steal. They check into a hotel, 5-star. The kind where Benson usually feels at home, but tonight it feels wrong. The marble floors, the crystal chandeliers, the staff who bow and scrape. It all feels obscene, excessive, a monument to inequality. He can't sleep. Again. He goes to the hotel bar, orders whiskey. Expensive, smooth, meaningless. A man sits next to him, Nigerian, well-dressed. The kind of person Benson would usually network with. The kind who speaks the language of deals and percentages and opportunities. Rough night? The man asks. Benson laughs. It's a bitter sound. You could say that. Business troubles? Something like that. The man extends his hand. Emeka Okonkwo, real estate developer, mostly commercial properties. You? Benson hesitates. Then, Benson Okafor, thief, mostly stealing from people who trusted me. Emeka laughs, thinks it's a joke, then sees Benson's face and stops laughing. I'm serious, Benson says. I spent 15 years stealing from my village, collecting development money and spending it on myself, promising progress and delivering nothing. I just got caught, had to pay it all back, and now I'm sitting here wondering who the hell I am, if I'm not the brilliant self-made billionaire I've been pretending to be. Emeka is quiet for a moment, sipping his drink, processing. We all tell ourselves stories, he finally says, about who we are, what we deserve, why our success is justified. The lucky ones never have those stories challenged. The unlucky ones get forced to confront them. Which am I? Benson asks. Lucky or unlucky? Depends. Are you going to change? Or are you just going to feel sorry for yourself until the guilt fades and you go back to who you were? It's a fair question. A brutal question. I don't know, Benson admits. I want to change, but I don't know how. I've been this person for so long. It's like asking a snake to stop being venomous. It's just what I am now. Snakes can't change, Emeka says. But men can. The question is whether you want to, and whether you're willing to pay the price. Because real change costs more than money. It costs pride, costs identity, costs the comfortable story you've been telling yourself about why you're special. Benson finishes his drink. Emeka is right. And the truth is, Benson doesn't know if he wants to change enough to pay that price. Doesn't know if he can. The next morning, they fly back to America. First class. The children sleep. Adana reads. Benson stares out the window at clouds. They land in Houston on Christmas afternoon. The house is exactly as they left it. Massive, pristine, empty. The decorations are up. A tree in the foyer. Garlands on the stairs. A housekeeper kept everything perfect. But it doesn't feel like Christmas. It feels like a museum. A monument to success that suddenly feels hollow. That night, Benson sits in his office. The room where he makes deals. Where he built his empire. Where he became the man he thought he wanted to be. He opens his computer. Looks at his accounts. The 130 million naira he transferred barely made a dent. He's still obscenely wealthy, still successful by every metric that matters in business. But something has changed. Or maybe nothing has changed except his ability to ignore what was always true. He creates a new spreadsheet, starts calculating. If he donated 10% of his wealth to development projects in Nigeria, real projects, verified, audited, transparent. That's $90 million. $90 million could build 100 schools, could dig 1,000 boreholes, could pave roads connecting dozens of villages, could save thousands of lives, tens of thousands. But it would also mean less for him, less for his children, less security, less power, less of everything he spent 30 years accumulating. He stares at the numbers, at the choice between who he is and who he could be. His phone buzzes. An email. From Chike. Subject line, I'm awake. The message is short. Dad, I know you're probably sitting in your office right now, calculating, justifying, trying to figure out the minimum you can give and still feel like you've changed. So I want to tell you something. I'm awake now. I saw what you are, what you've always been, and I can't unsee it. But I also saw something else in that village square. I saw you cry. I saw you admit what you did. I saw you choose truth when you could have chosen lies. That's something. Not enough, but something. So here's my challenge. Don't do the minimum. Don't donate 10% and call yourself reformed. Don't write a check and think you've paid off your guilt. Actually change. Give until it hurts. Give until you feel it. Give until you understand what it means to have nothing. Because that's the only way you'll understand what it means to have everything. I love you, but I don't respect you. Not yet. Earn it back. If you can. Benson reads the email 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. His son is 17 years old and somehow wiser than he's been in 30 years. He looks at the spreadsheet again. Changes 10% to 50%. $450 million. Half his empire. Half his security. Half his power. Gone. Used for something other than accumulation. Used for something that actually matters. His hand hovers over the keyboard. This is insane. This is financial suicide. This is everything he spent his life protecting against. But it's also the only thing that might save what's left of his soul. He closes the laptop without confirming. Not yet. He's not ready yet. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. Maybe never. Downstairs, Adana is sitting in the dark. He finds her in the living room. No lights. Just the glow from the Christmas tree. I can't do this anymore, she says without turning around. Do what? Pretend. Pretend this is normal. Pretend we didn't just see you exposed as a thief. Pretend our children weren't traumatized. Pretend that house and this car and this life are worth what they cost. What do you want me to do? Benson asks. He sits next to her. Close, but not touching. I want you to remember why we got married, Adana says. 28 years ago, you were broke, working 3 jobs, studying, dreaming. You were kind back then. Generous with the little you had. You would give your last $5 to someone who needed it more. What happened to that man? He got tired of being poor, Benson says. He got tired of struggling. He got tired of watching everyone else have what he wanted. So he decided to take it, whatever the cost. And was it worth it? Adana asks. She finally looks at him. All this, was it worth losing yourself? Benson doesn't answer. Because he doesn't know. Because the answer might be yes, and that terrifies him. Because he might be so broken that he would make the same choices again. 3 days pass. Benson doesn't leave the house, doesn't take calls, doesn't check emails. He sits in his office and stares at that spreadsheet. $450 million. The number hasn't changed, but its meaning shifts every time he looks at it. Sometimes it looks like redemption. Sometimes it looks like suicide. Sometimes it looks like the only honest thing he's done in decades. On the fourth day, there's a knock at his office door. It's Amarachi, his daughter, 15 years old. She's been crying, he can tell. "Can I come in?" she asks. Her voice is small, uncertain, not like her. Amarachi is usually confident, bold, the kind of daughter who argues with teachers and demands explanations. "Of course," Benson says. She sits across from him, the same chair where business partners sit, where investors pitch deals, where money gets discussed in abstract terms that make morality irrelevant. "I've been thinking about Abriba," Amarachi says. "About those kids, the ones who don't have schools, who drink dirty water, who watch their parents work themselves to death for nothing." "Okay," Benson says, waiting. "I always thought we were better than them," Amarachi continues. "Not like consciously, but deep down, I thought we were smarter, more deserving, that we had this life because we earned it somehow, because we were special." She looks at her father, really looks. "But we're not special. We're just lucky. Lucky that you escaped. Lucky that America gave you opportunities. Lucky that timing and circumstances aligned. And instead of being grateful for that luck, instead of sharing it, you hoarded it. You treated luck like achievement. Treated privilege like proof of superiority." "Where is this coming from?" Benson asks. "I've been reading about generational wealth, about how inequality works, about how people in our position convince themselves they deserve everything while others deserve nothing. And I realized something. I'm going to inherit your wealth someday, Chike and Ibuka and me. We're going to split everything you built, everything you stole." The word lands hard. Stole. From his daughter's mouth. "And I don't want it," Amarachi says. "Not like this. Not knowing where it came from. Not knowing who suffered so I could have a trust fund." Benson feels something crack in his chest. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I agree with Chike. I'm saying you need to actually change, not perform change. Not donate a little bit and feel good. Actually change who you are and how you think about money and power and people who have less than you." She stands up, walks to the window, looks out at their manicured lawn, their 3-car garage, their life built on foundations of broken promises. "I know I sound like a privileged kid who's having a moral awakening," Amarachi says. "I know I'm easy to dismiss, but I'm serious. If you don't change, if you don't actually become someone different, someone worth respecting, then when I turn 18, I'm walking away from all of this. I'll figure out my own path, build my own life, because I'd rather have nothing and keep my soul than have everything and lose it like you did." She leaves, closes the door softly. Benson sits alone with her words. His children are rejecting him, not just his actions, him, the person he became, the values he taught by example, if not by word. That night, he calls a meeting. The whole family, formal, like a board meeting, but with people who actually matter. "I need to tell you something," Benson begins. They're sitting in the living room, Adana on the couch, the children scattered around, all watching him, judging him, waiting to see if he's capable of truth. "I've been sitting in my office for days," Benson continues, "staring at numbers, trying to calculate the minimum amount I can give and still feel like I've changed. The minimum price for redemption. And I realize something. There is no minimum, because you can't buy redemption. You can't calculate your way into being a better person. He pauses. This is harder than any business presentation, harder than any negotiation, because there's no performance here, no mask, just him, exposed, vulnerable, human. I've spent 30 years chasing wealth, Benson says, convincing myself that more was always better. That security meant having enough money that I'd never have to worry again. But there's no such thing as enough when you're motivated by fear. Fear of going back to poverty, fear of being vulnerable, fear of depending on anyone or anything. So I kept accumulating, kept taking, kept treating people like resources to be extracted rather than humans to be honored. Adana is crying now. Quiet tears, not of sadness, of something else. Recognition, maybe. Or relief that he's finally seeing himself clearly. I stole from Abriba, Benson continues, but I stole from you too. I stole time, attention, presence. I gave you money instead of myself, things instead of relationship. I taught you that wealth was the highest value, that success meant having more than everyone else, that other people's suffering wasn't our problem as long as we were comfortable. Chaik is listening, arms crossed, face hard, but he's listening. I can't undo what I've done, Benson says. I can't bring back the children who died. Can't restore the years I wasted chasing zeros in bank accounts. Can't erase the harm I caused, but I can change what happens next. I can choose different, be different, if you'll give me the chance. What does that mean? Chaik asks. His voice is flat, skeptical. Specifically, what does different look like? Benson takes out his phone, opens the spreadsheet, turns the screen so they can see. I'm giving away half my wealth, Benson says. $450 million. To verified development projects in Nigeria. Schools, hospitals, infrastructure, clean water. Managed by people who actually care. Audited by independent organizations. Transparent. Real. The room is silent. Adana gasps. The children stare. That's... Amarachi starts, then stops. Can't find words. That's insane, Chike finishes. But there's something in his voice. Not agreement exactly, but not total dismissal either. Maybe, Benson says. Probably. But it's also the only thing that feels even remotely adequate. The only response that matches the scale of what I took, what I destroyed. What about us? Ibuka asks. The youngest, 10 years old, smart, quiet, always watching, always processing. What about our future? College, security. We'll still have more than we need, Benson says. We'll still have this house, cars, comfort. You'll still go to good schools, still have opportunities. But you won't have obscene excess. Won't have so much that it insulates you from reality, from humanity, from understanding that most people don't live like this, and that's not because they're lazy or stupid or less deserving. He looks at each of them. I'm not doing this to be noble, Benson says. I'm doing it because I can't live with who I've been. Because I saw myself through Abriba's eyes, and I was horrified. Because my children are growing up to be strangers I don't want to know. Because your mother looks at me like I'm a monster, and she's not wrong. So this is about your guilt, Chaik says. About making yourself feel better. Yes, Benson admits. Absolutely yes. I'm not pretending this is selfless. I'm selfish enough that even my change is motivated by wanting to not hate myself. But does that make it meaningless? If the outcome is the same? If schools get built and water gets clean, and lives get saved, does it matter that my motivation is partially about ego? Chike considers this. I don't know, he finally says. I think it matters. I think why we do things matters as much as what we do. But I also think it's a start. A deeply flawed, ego-driven, insufficient start. But a start. I'll take that, Benson says. The meeting ends. No resolution. No neat conclusion. Just a family, fractured by truth, trying to figure out if healing is possible. That night, Benson makes the transfers. Not all at once. That would be reckless. But he sets up the structures, creates a foundation, establishes oversight, hires people whose job is to make sure every dollar goes where it's supposed to go, does what it's supposed to do. It takes hours. His lawyer calls 6 times. His accountant calls 12 times. His business partners send increasingly frantic emails. Everyone wants to know if he's having a breakdown, if he needs psychiatric help, if someone is forcing him to do this. But nobody asks if maybe he's finally thinking clearly. If maybe the breakdown happened 30 years ago, when he decided money mattered more than humanity. If maybe this is what sanity looks like after decades of madness. By morning, it's done. $450 million committed. Not donated yet. That will take time. Verification. Due diligence. Making sure the money goes to people who will actually use it properly. But it's committed. Locked. Irreversible. Benson feels lighter, and terrified, and uncertain, and more alive than he's felt in years. He goes downstairs. The family is at breakfast. Adana made pancakes, actual pancakes. Not catered, not delivered. Made with her own hands. She hasn't done that in years. It's done, Benson says. The foundation is established. The money is committed. There's no going back. Adana stands, walks to him, hugs him, really hugs him. Not the polite embraces they've been sharing for years, but the kind of hug that says, maybe we can survive this. Maybe we're not completely broken. The children watch. Chike's face softens slightly. Amarachi smiles, small, tentative. Ibuka just keeps eating pancakes. But there's something different in the room. Something like hope. Fragile, uncertain, but real. What happens now? Adana asks. I don't know, Benson admits. I've never not been chasing wealth. I don't know who I am if I'm not accumulating, building, taking. I guess I have to figure that out. We'll figure it out together, Adana says. If you want. I want, Benson says. And for the first time in a long time, it's true. Later that week, news breaks. Business publications pick up the story. Billionaire commits half his fortune to African development. The coverage is mixed. Some call it noble. Others call it a PR stunt. Some dig into his past. Start asking questions about where the wealth came from. About development projects that never materialized. About villages that contributed and got nothing back. The New York Times sends a reporter. Young, ambitious, the kind who smells blood in the water. Her name is Jennifer Chen. She sits across from Benson in his office with a recorder between them, and skepticism written all over her face. So, Jennifer begins, you're giving away $450 million. That's remarkable. What prompted this sudden change of heart? Benson knows this question is a trap. Any answer makes him look bad. But he's committed to truth now, even when truth makes him look worse. I got caught, Benson says, simply. Jennifer's eyebrows rise. Not the answer she expected. Caught doing what? Stealing from my village. I collected development money for 15 years and never developed anything. I promised roads and schools and hospitals and delivered nothing except broken promises and single-dollar bills. They finally had enough. They trapped me, made me pay it back, forced me to see what I'd become. Jennifer is writing fast now. This is better than she hoped. Actual confession. Actual admission of wrongdoing. And the foundation, she asks? Is that guilt? Compensation? Image rehabilitation? All of those, Benson admits. I'm not going to pretend this is pure altruism. I'm horrified by who I've been. My children don't respect me. My wife barely recognizes me. I saw myself through the eyes of people I hurt, and I couldn't live with what I saw. So yes, this is partly about making myself feel less monstrous. But it's also about actually doing something real for once. Actually keeping a promise. Actually choosing people over profit. Do you think money can buy redemption? Jennifer asks. No, Benson says. I think money can build schools and dig wells and save lives. That's not redemption. That's just doing what I should have done 3 decades ago. Redemption isn't something you buy. It's something you earn through years of different choices. Years of being someone other than who I've been. I'm 57 years old. I might not have enough years left to earn redemption, but I can at least stop making it worse. The interview runs the next Sunday. Front page of the business section. The headline is surprisingly fair. Billionaire's Reckoning, when success comes at the cost of soul. The article includes everything. Benson's confession, his theft, his empty promises, but also his foundation, his commitment, his children's ultimatum. The response is immediate and divided. Half the internet calls him a hero, a model for billionaire philanthropy, proof that people can change. The other half calls him a thief who only paid back stolen money when he got caught, a performative philanthropist trying to buy absolution. Both sides are right. That's the complexity of real change. It's never pure, never clean, never simple enough to fit into categories of good or evil. It's messy, complicated, human. Business partners start pulling back. Some quietly, some loudly. Board positions disappear. Investment opportunities dry up. People who were happy to associate with a ruthless billionaire want nothing to do with a reformed thief. Benson watches his business empire contract, watches opportunities vanish, watches the professional respect he spent 30 years building crumble, and feels relieved, because maintaining that empire required being someone he no longer wants to be, required making compromises he can't stomach anymore, required treating people as means rather than ends. 6 months pass. The foundation is operational. Real projects are underway. In Abriba, construction crews are paving the road. Engineers are drilling the borehole. Architects are designing the school. Not Benson's architects, local ones. Nigerian firms that actually understand the context, that actually care about the outcome. Benson watches it all from Houston, through reports, through photos, through videos that Obi sends periodically, not to thank him, just to show him what accountability looks like in practice. One video shows the road, smooth asphalt where there used to be mud and potholes, children walking to school without having to wade through water, an ambulance driving through without getting stuck, lives saved because infrastructure exists. Another video shows the borehole. Clean water flowing. Women filling containers without having to walk 5 kilometers. Children drinking without risking cholera. Dignity restored through something as simple as access to water. The school is still under construction, but the foundation is laid. The walls are rising. It's real, tangible, proof that money spent with integrity actually accomplishes what it promises. Benson cries watching these videos. Not performative tears. Not calculated emotion. Just raw response to seeing something good come from his choices for once. Seeing creation instead of extraction. Seeing hope instead of despair. His phone rings. Unknown number. Nigerian country code. He answers. Benson. It's Mazi Okorafor. His voice sounds stronger than it did 6 months ago, like hope restored vitality. Mazi, Benson says. His voice catches. How are you? I am well, better than I have been in many years. The road is finished. The water is flowing. The school will open by September. You kept your promise. Finally, after 15 years, you kept your promise. I'm glad, Benson says. He doesn't know what else to say. I called to tell you something, Mazi continues. The village council met yesterday. We discussed your name, your legacy, what we should tell our children about you. Benson braces himself. This is the judgment, the final verdict on who he was and what he did. We decided, Mazi says slowly, to tell them the truth, all of it, that you were one of our sons who escaped poverty and built an empire, that you forgot where you came from and who helped you rise, that you took from us for years and gave nothing back. That children died because of your broken promises. The words hurt, but Benson doesn't interrupt, doesn't defend, just listens. But we will also tell them, Mazi continues, that you faced your crimes, that when caught, you paid, that you admitted your wrongs publicly, that you chose change even though it cost you greatly, that you proved a man can be both terrible and transformed, both villain and someone trying desperately to be better. We will tell them, Mazi says, his voice softer now, that you are not a hero, but you are not just a villain either. You are what most humans are, complicated, capable of great harm and great good, weak in some ways and strong in others. A cautionary tale, and maybe, if you continue this path, an example of redemption earned through years of different choices. Thank you, Benson whispers. For what? For honesty, for not letting me off easy, for holding me accountable, while still allowing for the possibility of change. That's what family does, Mazi says. Even when family disappoints, even when family betrays, we hold them accountable, and we leave the door open for return. Not forgetting, not excusing, but allowing for the long, difficult work of becoming someone worthy of trust again. The call ends. Benson sits with those words. Family. After everything he did, Mazi still called him family. Not forgiven family, not trusted family, but family nonetheless. That night, Adana finds him on the balcony, looking at stars, thinking about villages and promises and the long road between who you were and who you're trying to become. Your lawyer called, she says. 6 more board positions are asking you to resign. 3 business partners want to dissolve agreements. Your net worth has dropped another 20 million this quarter. Okay, Benson says. He doesn't sound devastated, doesn't sound angry, just accepting. You're not upset? Adana asks. I'm relieved, Benson admits. Every position I lose is one less reason to be the person I was. Every partnership that dissolves is freedom from having to perform ruthlessness. Every million I lose is proof that I meant it, that this isn't just theater. What will you do? Adana asks. If business keeps contracting, if opportunities keep disappearing, who will you be if you're not Benson the billionaire? Benson the empire builder? Benson the success story? I don't know, Benson says honestly. But maybe that's the point. Maybe I need to not know. Maybe I need to sit in uncertainty for once. Stop controlling every outcome. Stop engineering every result. Stop treating life like a business to be optimized, and just live. As a person. Not as a brand. Not as a balance sheet. Just as a flawed, broken, trying to be better person. Adana sits next to him. They look at stars together. Silent. Not because there's nothing to say, but because words aren't always necessary. A year passes. The school in Abriba opens. 300 students, real teachers, actual supplies. Education that creates opportunity instead of just maintaining poverty. The foundation expands. More villages, more projects, more lives changed. Not because Benson is generous, but because systems are in place, because oversight exists, because money is being used with integrity. Chike goes to Harvard, studies development economics, wants to understand how to break cycles of poverty, how to create sustainable change, how to do what his father should have done from the beginning. Amarachi starts a non-profit, youth-focused, working with first-generation college students, teaching them that success doesn't have to mean abandoning your community, that wealth can be a tool for elevation instead of separation. Ebuka is still just a kid, but he watches his parents, his siblings. He's learning different lessons than Benson taught. Better lessons, harder lessons. Benson himself is different, quieter, less certain, less aggressive. He still has wealth, still has comfort, still has privilege, but he holds it differently now. More lightly, more carefully, more aware that what he has came partly from luck and partly from people he stepped on to get here. He starts speaking, not paid speeches, just showing up when asked, at universities, community centers, churches, telling his story. Not the sanitized version, the real one, the ugly one. I was a thief, he tells a room full of business students at Rice University. I stole from the people who trusted me most. I convinced myself it was acceptable, because I was building something, because I deserved it, because their poverty wasn't my fault. But that was all lies. Self-serving lies that let me sleep at night, while children died because I broke promises. The students are uncomfortable. This isn't the entrepreneurship porn they expected. This isn't the inspiring immigrant success story. This is something darker, more honest, more useful. If you're going to build wealth, Benson continues, and some of you will, understand what it costs. Not just in hours worked or risks taken, but in humanity, in empathy, in your ability to see other people as people instead of obstacles or resources. Wealth doesn't automatically corrupt, but it makes corruption easier. It insulates you from consequences. It surrounds you with people who benefit from your success and therefore never challenge you. It creates echo chambers where ruthlessness gets celebrated as decisiveness, where exploitation gets praised as efficiency, where cruelty gets packaged as necessary toughness. He pauses, looks at their young faces, sees himself 35 years ago, hungry, ambitious, certain that success would solve everything. Some of you will make it. Benson says, you'll build companies, accumulate wealth, achieve the success you're dreaming about. And when you do, please remember this. Remember that there's a version of success that requires becoming monstrous. And there's a version that allows you to stay human. Choose the second one, even if it means less money, even if it means slower growth, even if it means watching others pass you by. Choose humanity, because I chose money, and I'm spending the rest of my life trying to buy back what I lost. And it's not working, because some things can't be bought, can't be recovered, can only be mourned. Form. Students wanting clarity, wanting to understand, wanting to believe there's a formula for doing it right. But how do you know? A young woman asks. How do you know when you're crossing the line? When ambition becomes greed? When strategy becomes exploitation? Benson thinks about this. Really thinks. You know, he says finally. Deep down, you always know. There's a voice inside that tells you when something is wrong. When a decision hurts people unnecessarily. When profit comes at the cost of someone's dignity. The problem isn't not knowing. It's choosing not to listen. Choosing to silence that voice with justifications and rationalizations and comparisons to people doing worse things. I told myself everyone was doing it, Benson continues. That business required ruthlessness. That sentiment was weakness. That if I didn't take advantage, someone else would. And all of that was true in some sense. But it was also permission I gave myself to ignore the part of me that knew better. The part that remembered being poor, being vulnerable, being at the mercy of people with power who chose not to help. Another hand. A young man, cocky, the kind Benson used to be. But you still have money, he says. It's almost an accusation. You gave away half, but kept half. You're still rich, still comfortable, still privileged. Isn't that hypocritical? Telling us to choose humanity while you sit in a mansion? Yes, Benson says simply. It is hypocritical. I'm still benefiting from the system I'm criticizing. Still living a life that most people can't imagine. Still insulated from consequences in ways that let me philosophize about morality from a position of safety. He leans forward. But here's what I've learned. Waiting for perfection before you try to be better is just another form of paralysis. Another excuse for not changing. I'm not perfect. I'm not even good yet. I'm just less terrible than I was, and I'm trying to become less terrible tomorrow than I am today. That's all any of us can do. Incremental improvement, constant examination, willingness to be called hypocritical and still keep trying instead of giving up or defending yourself. The speech goes viral, not because it's inspiring, because it's honest. Because people are starving for successful people to admit that success has costs. That wealth doesn't automatically make you wise. That maybe the emperor isn't wearing clothes, and someone needs to say it out loud. Media requests flood in. Everyone wants the reformed billionaire, the thief who found conscience, the cautionary tale with a pulse. Benson turns down most of them. Does a few. Oprah, NPR, a podcast with Brené Brown about shame and accountability. He's uncomfortable with the attention, with being held up as an example. Because he knows what he still is, what he still struggles with every day. The hardest part, he tells Brené, is that the impulses don't go away. I still see opportunities and think about how to maximize profit. I still calculate and strategize and look for angles. 30 years of training doesn't disappear because you have one moment of clarity. The greed is still there. The fear of scarcity is still there. I just try to catch myself now. Try to question the impulse before acting on it. Try to choose different even when every instinct screams to take what I can get. What helps? Brené asks. Accountability, Benson says. My children watch me now. Really watch. My son calls me out when I slip. When I make comments that reveal I still think wealth makes me better. When I treat service workers like they're invisible. When I demonstrate the old patterns. He's relentless. And I need that. Because without accountability, I'd slide back, rationalize, justify. Become who I was. 2 years after Abriba. The school is thriving. The road is maintained. The water is clean. More projects are funded. Other villages. Other needs. Other opportunities to choose right instead of easy. Benson receives an invitation, handwritten, formal, from Mazi Okorafor. Abriba is holding a festival, celebrating the development, the transformation, the future that finally arrived, and they want Benson to come. He stares at the invitation for days, afraid. What if they hate him? What if seeing him brings back all the pain? What if his presence ruins what they're celebrating? Adana finds him with the letter. You should go, she says. I don't know if I can, Benson admits. What if they're still angry? They probably are. What if they don't forgive you? They probably won't. What if it's painful? It definitely will be. But you should still go, because hiding in Houston is comfortable, and you don't deserve comfortable yet. You deserve to face the people you hurt, to see what their lives look like now, to witness what accountability created. She's right. She's always right. Benson books a flight. He goes alone. Adana offers to come, but he declines. This is something he needs to do by himself. The landing in Lagos feels different this time. Less triumphant, less entitled. He's just a man getting off a plane, not a king returning to his kingdom. The drive to Abriba is familiar, but changed. The roads are better. Some of the foundations work. Villages are connected now. Commerce is flowing. Opportunity is spreading. He arrives at sunset, same time as 2 years ago. But everything is different. The road into Abriba is paved, smooth. Children play on it, draw on it with chalk, use it the way children should be able to use roads. The village square is prepared for celebration. But this time the decorations aren't for him. They're for the community, for what they built together, for the future they're creating. Mazi Okorafor meets him. The old man looks healthier, stronger. Like hope added years to his life, instead of subtracting them. You came, Mazi says. I wasn't sure you would. I almost didn't, Benson admits. I was afraid. Good, Mazi says. Fear means you understand. Means you're not still operating from arrogance. Come, let me show you what accountability built. They walk through Abriba. Benson sees the changes. Real changes. Houses being repaired. Solar panels providing electricity. The school full of students. The health clinic operating. People working. Building. Creating. Living with dignity. The road saved 4 lives this year, Mazi says as they walk. 4 people who would have died if the ambulance couldn't get through. Can you calculate the value of 4 lives? Can you put a price on that? Benson can't speak. His throat is tight. The water has eliminated cholera, Mazi continues. Children aren't dying from preventable diseases. Women aren't spending hours each day fetching water. They're starting businesses, going to school, creating futures. They stop at the school. Through the windows, Benson can see students, focused, engaged, learning. Education creates options, Mazi says. These children will have choices. They won't have to leave and forget, or leave and become what you became. They can leave and remember, leave and return, leave and stay connected. Because there's something here worth connecting to now. They reach the village square. The festival is beginning. Music, dancing, food. Joy that's earned. Joy that's real. You're not the hero of this story, Mozzie says. It's not cruel, just factual. You're the catalyst, the cautionary tale that forced us to demand better, to stop accepting crumbs, to stop worshiping false gods. You're important to this story, but not in the way you wanted to be. I know, Benson says. Good, Mozzie replies. Now come, eat, observe. See what happens when people are given what they're owed instead of what someone decides they deserve. The festival is beautiful. Benson sits at the edge, not in the place of honor, not elevated, just present, watching, participating minimally, mostly witnessing. Obi approaches, the young man who helped trap him, who demanded accountability. You came back, Obi says. He's not smiling, but he's not hostile either. I was invited, Benson replies. I wasn't sure if you'd have the courage, Obi says. I wasn't either, Benson admits. They sit together, watching the celebration. Two men, separated by generation and choices, but connected by this village and its painful history. I don't forgive you, Obi says after a while. That's fair, Benson replies. But I respect what you did after, Obi continues. You could have paid the money and disappeared, could have done the minimum and called it resolved. But you didn't. You kept the foundation going, expanded it, actually followed through. That means something. Does it mean enough? Benson asks. Obi shrugs. I don't know. Maybe forgiveness isn't the goal. Maybe the goal is just becoming someone who doesn't need to be forgiven for new crimes. Someone who stops creating new victims. Someone who uses the rest of their life to cause less harm than they already caused. Maybe that's enough. Not for redemption, but for not being completely worthless. It's harsh. But Benson needs harsh. Needs people who won't let him off easy. Won't accept performance. Won't be impressed by money or status, or the fact that he's trying. The celebration continues late into the night. Benson stays the whole time. Uncomfortable, out of place, but present. The next morning, he walks through the village one more time. Alone, taking in everything, committing it to memory. He stops at the Iroko tree, the one where they tied him, where his pride was stripped, where his empire cracked. The rope marks are still there, faint, but visible. I needed this, Benson says out loud, to the tree, to himself, to whatever gods might be listening. I needed to be broken, to be humiliated, to be forced to see myself clearly. I would never have changed otherwise, would never have chosen different, would have died rich and empty and convinced I was successful. He touches the tree, rough bark, ancient wood, witness to his fall and maybe the beginning of something like rebuilding. Before leaving Abriba, Benson meets with the village council one last time, not as Eze-Ego, not as a king or benefactor, just as a man giving an account of stewardship. The foundation has committed funds for the next 10 years, Benson explains. He's standing, not sitting, humble posture, no pretense. After that, the goal is for Abriba to be self-sustaining. The school will generate teachers who stay and teach. The road will enable commerce. The businesses starting now will create tax revenue. You won't need outside money forever. And you? Mozzie asks. What will you do? Keep trying, Benson says. Keep speaking about what I did and what it cost. Keep funding projects in other places. Keep letting my children hold me accountable. Keep becoming less terrible than I was yesterday. That's all I know how to do now. That's more than most people do, Mozzie says. Most people defend their crimes until death. Justify, rationalize, blame victims. You at least admitted yours. Faced consequences, changed direction. It's not redemption, but it's not nothing. Benson nods, takes it. The measured acknowledgement without absolution. The recognition without forgiveness. It's what he deserves. Maybe all he'll ever deserve. He says goodbye. No dramatic speeches. No promises of return. Just a quiet departure. A man leaving a place that broke him, and in breaking him, maybe saved whatever was left worth saving. The flight back to Houston feels longer, heavier. Benson stares out the window at clouds and thinks about legacies. About what gets remembered when you're gone. He won't be remembered as a great man. Won't have statues. Won't have buildings named after him. The best he can hope for is to be remembered as a cautionary tale, who at least tried to be better after being caught. And maybe that's enough. Not for pride, but for peace. Back in Houston, life continues. Different, but continuing. The house feels too big now, too excessive. Benson and Adana are discussing downsizing. Not to poverty, but to something more reasonable. Something that doesn't scream empire at the expense of humanity. Chaik comes home for winter break. He's changed too. More focused, more purposeful, more aware of complexity. I've been studying your case, Chaik says over dinner one night. In my development economics class, Professor used you as an example of elite capture. How people from poor communities who gain wealth often extract resources rather than reinvest them. What did you tell them? Benson asks, bracing for embarrassment. I told them you were my father, Chaik says. That elite capture wasn't abstract theory for me. It was watching someone I loved become someone I couldn't respect. And then watching him try, painfully and imperfectly, to become someone different. What did the professor say? That personal transformation is necessary, but not sufficient. That individual change doesn't address systemic issues. That the system that allowed you to extract wealth from Abriba is still operating. Still enabling other people to do what you did. That we need structural change, not just individual redemption. She's right, Benson says. I'm one person trying to do better. But the systems that created me are still creating others. Still teaching people that extraction is success, that exploitation is efficiency, that wealth justifies itself regardless of how it's acquired. So what do we do? Amarachi asks. She's home too. The whole family together for the first time in months. We keep trying, Benson says. We change what we can change. We challenge what we can challenge. We don't let perfect be the enemy of better. We tell the truth about what success costs and who pays the price. We use whatever platform we have to make it harder for the next person to do what I did without facing consequences. And we vote, Adana adds. We support policies that create accountability, that tax wealth appropriately, that invest in communities, that make it structurally harder to be a predator and structurally easier to be a contributor. It's not a neat answer, not a satisfying conclusion, but it's honest. And honesty is all they have now. 3 more years pass. The foundation grows. More villages, more schools, more infrastructure, more lives changed. But Benson is careful now. Careful about taking credit. Careful about making it about him. Careful to center the communities being served, rather than the wealthy man serving them. He's approached constantly. Other billionaires wanting advice on philanthropy. Wanting to know how to give without being criticized. Wanting the good press without the hard work of actual accountability. You can't, Benson tells them, over and over. You can't buy redemption or respect or absolution. You can only fund real work by real people and then get out of the way. You can only tell the truth about where your wealth came from and what it cost. You can only be honest about your motivations and let people judge you accordingly. There's no clean way to be a billionaire philanthropist. The money that makes you a billionaire usually comes from sources that shouldn't make anyone proud. Most of them stop calling after that conversation. They wanted permission, validation, a formula for looking good, while maintaining everything that makes them feel powerful. Benson won't give them that. Can't give them that. His net worth continues declining, not dramatically, but steadily. He's not making the aggressive plays anymore, not exploiting every opportunity, not treating every interaction as a chance to extract value. He's down to 400 million now, still obscenely wealthy, still privileged beyond measure, but moving in the right direction, becoming less of a black hole pulling resources toward himself and more of a conduit directing resources toward need. His business reputation is ruined. The people who matter in corporate America want nothing to do with him. He's the cautionary tale, the billionaire who went soft, who let guilt destroy his empire, who chose people over profit and paid the price. He wears it like a badge, a reminder that this is what trying to be better looks like: uncomfortable, costly, difficult, real. On the 5th anniversary of his Abriba confession, Benson receives a package from Nigeria, hand-delivered by someone who flew to Houston specifically for this purpose. Inside is a photo, the school in Abriba, graduating its first class of seniors, 53 students, all going to university, all with scholarships, all with futures that didn't exist 5 years ago. There's a letter, too, from one of the students, a girl named Chioma. Dear Mr. Benson, it reads, I don't know you. I only know the story. The man who stole from us and then paid back. The man who broke promises and then kept them. The man who was terrible and is trying to be less terrible. I'm writing because I want you to know what that trying means to me. I'm going to study medicine. I'm going to come back to Abriba and care for people who need care. I'm going to be the doctor who saves the children who would have died before. I exist because you paid back what you stole. My future exists because you admitted what you did. I don't forgive you. I don't even know if I should. But I'm grateful that your failure became our opportunity, that your shame became our school, that your guilt became my graduation. Maybe that's enough, not redemption, but consequence that creates something good instead of just destroying things. Thank you, not for being generous, but for being accountable, for facing what you did and paying what you owed, for keeping promises, even when it cost you everything you thought mattered. Maybe we need more people like you. Not people who do the right thing from the beginning, but people who do the wrong thing, get caught, admit it, and then spend the rest of their lives trying to do better. Sincerely, Chioma. For Benson reads the letter 6 times, 7 times, 8 times. He frames it, hangs it in his office where he used to hang awards and certificates and proofs of success. This is his only real achievement. Not wealth, not empire, not respect from people who value the wrong things, but this, one girl who has opportunities because he finally chose accountability over avoidance. It's not enough, won't ever be enough. Can't undo the harm, can't restore the years. Can't bring back the children who died before he changed. But it's something, and something is infinitely more than nothing. That night, Benson sits with his family, all of them, in their too-big house that they're finally selling next month, moving to something smaller, something more honest about who they are and what they value. I've been thinking, Benson says, about legacy, about what I want to be remembered for. And, Chike asks, I don't want to be remembered as the man who gave money away, Benson says. I want to be remembered, if at all, as the man who stole, got caught, admitted it, and spent the rest of his life paying back what he took, as proof that accountability is possible, that change is possible, that you can be terrible and still become less terrible, that the story doesn't have to end with the villain winning. That's a low bar, Amarachi notes. I know, Benson says, but it's my bar, the only one I can reach now, and I'm grateful for it. Grateful to Abriba for holding me accountable. Grateful to you all for not letting me off easy. Grateful for every person who refused to accept my performance and demanded real change. He looks at his family, his wife who stayed when she could have left, his children who challenge him constantly, who won't let him slide back into old patterns, who love him enough to tell him the truth, even when truth is painful. Greed builds empires, Benson says quietly. I proved that, but I also proved something else. That empires built on greed are hollow, that wealth without conscience is poverty of a different kind, that a man can have everything and still be empty, still be dying inside, still be destroying everything that actually matters. He pauses, looks at each of them. I'm not asking you to be proud of me, Benson continues. I'm just asking you to witness, to see that change is possible even when it's painful, even when it's incomplete, even when it costs everything you thought you wanted. To see that accountability isn't the end, it's the beginning. The first step toward becoming someone worth knowing, worth respecting, worth calling family without shame. Adana reaches for his hand. Chike nods slowly. Amarachi smiles through tears. Ibuka, now 13 and wise beyond his years, just says, "We see you, Dad, all of you, the terrible parts and the trying parts, and we're not going anywhere." That's all Benson needs. Not forgiveness, not absolution, just witness. Just people who see him clearly and choose to stay anyway, who hold him accountable and still leave room for transformation. The story doesn't end neatly. Real stories never do. Benson continues his work. The foundation continues its projects. Lives continue being changed. And somewhere in Abriba, children who were never supposed to have opportunities are creating futures that prove one essential truth. A rich man who steals hope is poorer than the people he cheats. But a rich man who returns what he stole, admits what he did, and spends the rest of his life becoming better, that man isn't redeemed, but he's trying. And trying is something, and something is infinitely more than nothing. And maybe that's the only legacy worth leaving. Not perfection, not heroism, just honest effort toward being less terrible tomorrow than you were today. If this story made you think, if it challenged something in you, if it reminded you that change is possible, even when it's painful, hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment below telling us what you'd do in Benson's position. And smash that like button, because stories like this need to be heard. Stories about accountability, about consequences, about the long, difficult road from greed to something that might eventually look like grace. See you in the next one.